It was on a February 21st episode of Friday Night SmackDown in New Orleans where we saw The Rock reemerge. Not only asking for Cody's soul that night on the way to the Elimination Chamber, but The Rock announced that WrestleMania 42 would be taking place at the Caesars Superdome in April of 2026. Everybody was excited. You may or may not have had your flights already booked and your Airbnbs already secured. I'm here to tell you that you may need to go get a refund on those reservations. WWE is no longer holding WrestleMania next year in New Orleans, and this is breaking news this afternoon, and I have the latest on WWE and their WrestleMania situation no longer taking place in New Orleans in 2026. Also, AEW, a tradition Labor Day weekend with All Out in Chicago. No more. They're moving up north to Toronto. And NXT Europe, which is a plan we heard about several years ago. It may finally be a thing that we see live and in the flesh. All this and so much more on today's Off the Script. It is Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. WrestleMania, no longer taking place in New Orleans, says a local organization which provided a statement Thursday to WrestleNomics. WrestleMania is not taking place in New Orleans next year in 2026. A statement provided by the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation indicates the event is being rescheduled to a later, unspecified year. New Orleans was announced as the 2026 host city on a February 21st episode of Friday Night SmackDown in New Orleans, a segment that featured The Rock revealing the location. We've yet to confirm what the location of WrestleMania in 2026 will be instead. Rather than WrestleMania, WWE's Money in the Bank premium live event will instead be held in New Orleans in 2026. That news follows the recently announced UFC 318 card set for July 19, 2025 at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. The events are part of a broader multi-event, multi-year agreement being negotiated between local organizers and WWE and UFC's parent company TKO Group Holdings. A specific date for Money in the Bank next year was not provided, but the annual event usually takes place in June or July. The Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation and New Orleans and Company are working closely with our friends at TKO to expand our long-standing partnership, the statement from the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation reads, which will include UFC 318 on July 19, 2025, Money in the Bank in 2026, and WrestleMania, which will move from the currently scheduled 2026 timeframe to a future year. The foundation described the statement as a joint message from both their organization and WWE. WWE didn't immediately respond to requests to confirm their agreement with the statement or provide additional comments. This report will be updated if a response is received, says WrestleNomics. The reasons for the apparent change in plans for next year's WrestleMania are unclear. A key growth strategy for TKO is the pursuit of site fees and other incentives the company can attract in exchange for the economic impact its event provides to local businesses in the city. Las Vegas hosted WrestleMania this year with the local Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority providing WWE with a $5 million site fee for WrestleMania. WWE also qualified for an additional $4.2 million in tax credits under a program offered by the Nevada state government. WWE is set to receive a $7.1 million advance from the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority for the first ever two-day SummerSlam this year at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey on August 2nd and August 3rd. WrestleMania has been scheduled to take place next year on April 11 and April 12 at the Superdome, which previously hosted WWE's biggest event of the year in 2014 and in 2018. 2018. So I want to say this first because it's just laughable at this point. The Rock was a part of that segment on February 21, 2025. So not only did The Rock show up and announce New Orleans next year for WrestleMania in 2026, on that same show, he also asked for Cody's soul. Now, we did get the heel turn, and Cody told Rock to go fuck himself at the Elimination Chamber. But after that, Rock didn't show up on TV. Rock didn't make a single mention of John Cena selling his soul. We had nothing to do with Cody and The Rock on the way to WrestleMania. Rock didn't even show up at this year's WrestleMania. Not a single peep, not a single video, not a single piece of hype, not a single word was said from Dwayne on the road to WrestleMania. So that makes two segments now, looking back at it, that absolutely went nowhere for The Rock and WWE. Not only did he not follow up on the soul angle with Cody Rhodes, now WrestleMania is no longer taking place in New Orleans. So The Rock keeps striking out here left and right, man, to a point where I genuinely hope we don't see The Rock on TV again in any sort of creative aspect whatsoever. I just find that to be hilarious at this point. And of course, it's the same thing that happens all the time when he's on TV. Something with The Rock eventually leads to nothing. The way that I read this is WWE wants to be in New Orleans, but it looks like WWE wants more money for WrestleMania in the city of New Orleans. Now, I know a lot of people are wondering, well, where is it going to be now? A lot of people immediately start thinking Saudi. Guys, listen. Would I be shocked if WWE holds WrestleMania in Saudi? No, I would not be shocked. In fact, I absolutely expect it within the next 3 to 5 years. Next year, the Royal Rumble, I'm not sure you guys are aware, the Royal Rumble is taking place in Saudi in 2026. It's the first PLE for WWE next year. It's in Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, it's in Saudi Arabia. I'm not a big fan of this move. I'm not. And I'm not a big fan of WWE even contemplating taking their biggest show of the year to Saudi Arabia. I know it's going to happen, and it's something that we just have to willingly come to embrace. It is going to happen. TKO has a presence there, and the money that is going to be offered to hold such a show there and a weekend of TKO shows is just going to be so astronomical, it's going to make your eyes bug out. It's going to happen. This year, we got Las Vegas. Next year is not going to be Saudi. It was supposed to be New Orleans. It's not going to be New Orleans. It's not going to be Saudi either. WWE, we don't know. The general public doesn't know. But I would be a betting man to say here today that WWE pretty much has a roadmap of where they want to go with WrestleMania. If it's not New Orleans, WWE already has another city in mind. They have these things planned years in advance. I would say 3 to 5 years in advance, WWE knows exactly where they're going with WrestleMania. It's all about logistics. It's all about where could they take their brand and their show and what stadium is going to fit their needs. Look at what we've gotten the last couple years. We got Lincoln Financial, which was great. It's an outdoor stadium. It happened a little earlier in the WrestleMania season, and the weather wasn't really appropriate for WrestleMania. Night 1 especially. Night 2 was a little bit better. But then we got Las Vegas. We got Allegiant Stadium. And we got the SoFi Stadium. We got the Los Angeles WrestleMania. These are all newer, technically advanced stadiums. They're state-of-the-art stadiums. I don't know what WWE's vision is. I don't know what their mindset is. They want to take their brand into the most state-of-the-art stadiums that are accessible to them. I know money is always going to be a factor, but location is also going to be a factor as well, and the stadium and the conditions of the stadium are going to be a factor as well for WWE. We've heard rumors of Minneapolis. That was rescinded. Minneapolis, I don't know when they're going to get a WrestleMania. They got SummerSlam instead. Not this year, but the following year. 2-night SummerSlam, they gave Minneapolis because they weren't going to go and do WrestleMania there. Then we hear Atlanta. We hear Tennessee. We hear Indianapolis, which, if you guys aren't aware, WWE in the city of Indianapolis has a 7-year deal in place to bring multiple WWE events to Indianapolis, starting with the Royal Rumble. And we're going to get a WrestleMania in Indianapolis. It's going to happen. Is that going to be where WrestleMania happens next year? I don't know. The one thing on everybody's mind is London. But like I said, I'd love to see it. I expect that to happen before we get to Saudi because that would be the right thing to do. London's been asking for a WrestleMania forever. If they don't get a WrestleMania and Saudi gets it first, I think that's fucked up to the city of London and to the people of the country who want WrestleMania there because they have never had one. And now WWE's open to doing more international shows and more international PLEs at that, where Vince did not want to do it for several different reasons. I'm also hearing Florida is a possibility for WrestleMania. WWE received a $7.1 million advance from the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority for a 2-night SummerSlam. Orlando, many people are talking about Orlando, which was awarded an $18 million grant to bid on WrestleMania and other sporting events for UFC and other major sporting events. However, this is still years away. Orlando is focusing on bringing a Royal Rumble to the city first before they get WrestleMania. So like I said, Indianapolis, Atlanta, Tennessee, Texas, London, and Florida all in discussion for WrestleMania. And like I said, if Orlando is going to be a contender for WrestleMania, Camping World Stadium, I do believe WWE was there once, and I heard nothing but nightmare stories about the conditions of the stadium. WWE may want Camping World Stadium to get some renovations, and the city of Orlando may have to undergo some renovations for Camping World Stadium so that it would be suitable for WWE to even want to go to Orlando. So who knows when that's going to be. And like I said, WWE's got a roadmap for WrestleMania 3 to 5 years at least. We may not be looking at an Orlando WrestleMania until at least 2030, 2031. We got Indianapolis coming up. We got Atlanta, Texas, London, Saudi. We may be looking at another 5 years before we get a WrestleMania in Orlando. So who knows? Orlando may be in the pipeline, but it might not be for another 5, 6, 7 years. The one thing that I think you guys could not worry about, at least right now, is Saudi next year. I was interested in New Orleans because I've never been to New Orleans. I had at least 75% of my mind made up that I was going to be in New Orleans next year because I'd never been. And all I heard was, oh man, you got to come down to New Orleans. You're going to have a good time here. This city is going to treat you well. I was looking forward to it. Now, it's not going to happen. So where's it going to be? Saudi's out of the question. Rumble is getting Saudi, or Saudi's getting Rumble, rather. And I do think that WrestleMania next year could end up being in Indianapolis. It could end up being in Atlanta. It could end up being in Texas. But the one thing that I hope for it to be is London. And I do think that if WWE is going to London, Wembley Stadium would be happy to have them. Now, does this mean with the NXT Europe news coming out this past week, is everything kind of coming together? Are the stars aligning for WWE and Europe and London? I don't know. How much of that has to do with AEW? AEW took this year off from doing All In at Wembley Stadium. Tony Khan has already said he will be back at Wembley next year for All In. This year it's happening in Arlington, Texas at Globe Life Field. He wants very much to go back to Wembley. He feels that is their staple show and that is their staple venue. How much is that going to be a deciding factor in WWE wanting to get into Wembley before AEW gets back into Wembley Stadium? And it would be within the vicinity. It would be April, and then All In usually happens when? July into August. So WWE, are they thinking, hey, we'll beat them to the punch and get Wembley in London first before they get back to London in Wembley with All In? I don't know. This is obviously developing story. And the one thing that jumps off the page immediately before we even start guessing where WrestleMania is going to be is the site fee. WWE was given $5 million from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. They got a $5 million site fee. WWE, even with the smaller scaled shows, never mind a Rumble or a Survivor Series or a Money in the Bank, WWE gets the biggest site fee out of any show, obviously, for WrestleMania. But even shows like Backlash and whatever else will be Bad Blood in October, WWE is getting site fees no matter where they go, no matter the scale of the show. If it's one of their lower-end cards or if it's a major show like WrestleMania, WWE is getting upwards towards $5 to $7 million now for a SummerSlam. You know, if SummerSlam is getting $7.1 million from the New Jersey Sports Authority, WrestleMania got $5 million from Las Vegas. You don't think WWE's looking to do $10 million next year for WrestleMania? So who knows what New Orleans was giving WWE as far as a site fee? WWE said, you know what? We got this other one who's willing to give us $10, $11 million for a site fee to hold this show here. We'll come back. We'll give you money in the bank in the meantime, and we'll come back and we'll revisit this offer at some other point when you guys have the money that we're looking for. It all comes down to money. WWE is moving WrestleMania to a city and into a stadium that is going to give them what they want. It all comes down to money. So when you read the reports of, oh, it's this and infrastructure and this and whatever other excuse that someone wants to throw out there, translation, folks, WWE moved New Orleans WrestleMania out of New Orleans to put it into a stadium and into a city that is offering them more money than New Orleans was. That's it. That's the bottom line. This is a company that will do anything that they have to do to make sure that their numbers are up month over month, year over year. That's the trend. And while I still enjoy the product to an extent, the more we see them focusing on money, the quality of the shows continue to go down and down and down and down and down. And we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting creatively for things to play out. And it's not as fulfilling as it was even 2 years ago. This is what happens. This is the TKO effect. So when you read the reports, it's all about the money. Everything else, those are priorities, but they are on the smaller list of things to worry about. WWE wants the money. New Orleans ain't giving it to them. They found someone else who will, and WrestleMania is going to that city, whoever it may be, wherever it may be. That's the bottom line. So I will keep you guys posted on that, as this is breaking news today right here on Off the Script. And WrestleNomics had that report, which was followed up today by Dave Meltzer and Fightful and other people in the community. So this is a legit report. WrestleMania no longer in New Orleans next year for 2026. And now that makes two segments The Rock had in the same night that absolutely were rendered useless. Thanks, Dwayne. NXT Europe to launch later this year. Question mark. Riddle me this, Batman. In recent weeks, WWE's been notably focusing on finding and signing new wrestlers from around the world, according to PW Insider. This increased attention on international talent has led to talks within the company that WWE is making a serious preparation to launch its long-awaited NXT Europe brand later this year. Now, the potential European expansion follows several recent international recruitment efforts by WWE. These include the UK tryouts held during the company's European tour back in March of this year, which reportedly led to WWE showing strong interest in Spanish talents, such as Zozoya and France's Aigle Blanc and Italy's Mike DiVecchio. So that is the latest there as far as talent internationally that WWE is signing. The idea of NXT Europe has been discussed for some time, with WWE looking to create a new developmental territory based in the region. Gee, I mean, this was the plan several years ago before Vince and Bruce Pritchard blew up NXT, right? You guys remember that. And now WWE seems to be getting back to that fabled takeover aspect that they wanted. This would aim to find and train the next generation of European WWE superstars, giving them a platform to grow. If NXT Europe launches in 2025, it would be a big step in WWE's global plans. It would also provide many talented wrestlers from across Europe with a clearer path to a WWE career. The company is expected to confirm more official news on NXT Europe as plans are finalized. No surprise, folks. The NXT takeover is something that was in the vision of Black and Gold before anything happened to the brand. COVID harmed it very much so. Vince and Bruce put the nail in Black and Gold. They blew it up. They wanted to build from within. They wanted all of their talent in the Performance Center, and they wanted all that talent to get on TV, many of which didn't really amount to anything, and some are still there. WWE put a stop on signing international talent, indie talent, and they wanted to go the more homegrown route, train from within, build from within, teach from within. And now WWE seems to be doing a little bit of both. They got tryouts, and they're welcoming all sports athletes from every sport that you could possibly imagine. You want to be a WWE superstar? Come train with the best. Come learn from the best. All people from all walks of life. Indie talent, come on in. They got the WWE ID program. Their ID, they're fucking stamped, right? They're branded as a WWE superstar in the ID talent program, and WWE is going to get first dibs on them when they want to sign somebody from the indies. It's like putting a fucking tag on them before anybody else can get a look at what they're doing and potentially sign them, which has not only harmed what AEW usually does, because they look within the indies to bring talent in. WWE's putting slowly a stop to that and cutting off the pipeline to All Elite Wrestling. Now they're doing it here. Not only are they doing it with Mexico, but they're doing it now in Europe. How soon before they start doing it in Japan, which they've already done because they're working with Rossi Ogawa and Marigold? Who's to say that WWE isn't going to start bleeding into New Japan territory? Who's to say WWE doesn't start taking New Japan talent? Who's to say that New Japan doesn't want to work with AEW anymore and would rather work with WWE because they ain't got nothing going on? And AEW seemingly only takes and takes and takes and takes. They don't do anything to promote New Japan. That's not a fruitful partnership there with AEW and New Japan. Who's to say that New Japan isn't fucking fed up with Tony Khan just taking and not giving? Maybe WWE is going to be more willing to have a working partnership that is fruitful for both sides before WWE comes in and makes the kill. Who's to say WWE doesn't buy New Japan Pro Wrestling before we get 5 years down the line? It could very well happen. WWE is looking to cut the pipeline off from many different aspects in the world of pro wrestling to AEW. That is a priority to them. They want to own everything. The Global Takeover wasn't just a cool name for an NXT Black and Gold show. This was the original vision, Takeover. NXT Performance Centers in Mexico, in Europe, in India, in Russia, in Japan, in this place, in that place, several different places in the United States. The last time we talked about this, WWE was thinking about opening up a performance center, or at least moving the performance center to Las Vegas. That's not going to happen. Why would you uproot everybody living in Orlando with access to that performance center to uproot them and move them to Las Vegas? No, that's not going to happen. WWE is going to keep the performance center there and open another one in Las Vegas, which is the home base for UFC. WWE is going to open up multiple performance centers, and they're going to own multiple different countries as far as where talent is able to train. This is nothing new. This was the original vision. The quicker you understand that this was the original vision of Triple H, even while his father-in-law was still in charge, this is the way it was always going to be, even before AEW was even a fucking thought. So this is not anything surprising to me, at least. And you guys should know that. So NXT Europe, we could be seeing that get off the ground this year. Very interested to see what that looks like on WWE. And finally, AEW breaks tradition. All Out, moving out of Schaumburg in the shadow of Chicago at the Now Arena. They are bringing All Out to Toronto for the first time. The Scotiabank Arena in Toronto will host AEW All Out on September 20th. The official press release from AEW states, with tickets going on sale Monday, June 2nd at 10 a.m. via AEWTix.com. This move to Toronto continues AEW's growing relationship with the Canadian market following successful previous events, including Forbidden Door at the same venue. Fans interested in exclusive presale opportunities can register at allelitewrestling.com/AEW-Insider. The decision to relocate All Out comes as AEW continues to expand its international presence, having previously moved its All In event to London's Wembley Stadium, or from London's Wembley Stadium to the Globe Life Field in Texas this year, with hopes of them going back next year. So AEW, they don't have All In this year in London, but Forbidden Door will be in London this year, as they are already on their way to selling very well for that show. Even though the gimmick and the whole concept of the show is just wildly just stale as fuck. The Canadian expansion represents another strategic move as AEW continues to strengthen its global footprint. Sure. I like the move. I think Toronto's a great fucking city. It's a great wrestling town. They're hot there. They love their pro wrestling, which in turn is always going to equal a very good show. And with all the Canadian talent on AEW's roster, I do think that Tony's going to have a really fun time booking that show. And it should be one of the better all-outs, at least energy-wise, that AEW has had in many, many, many years. Thank you guys for all of your support. If you did enjoy today's upload and got anything out of it, please leave a comment down below. Let me know where you think WrestleMania is going to be next year, what you think of the move out of New Orleans, and why you think the move happened today. So sound off in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up as well. Let's try for 1,000 likes. And go check out all the great content on the channel already. Streams on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, all for you on the homepage. Go and check it out. You need merch, link is down below or underneath the video player you're watching me right now. Go get your OTS merch on the official site of Off the Script on bonfire.com. And make sure you guys follow me on social media at JDfromNY206 on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Thank you guys very much for a great night. I will see you all right back here live tomorrow night, Friday night, for Friday Night SmackDown. We got a busy weekend. Friday Night SmackDown, Saturday night's main event on Saturday, and AEW Double or Nothing to care about on Sunday night. I will be here to cover it all right here on Off the Script. We'll see you guys later.